Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Odds here. It is Wednesday, and we have won the first game against Charlotte this week here in Toronto, and we will play them again tomorrow night here in Toronto. 2 games in a row against the Charlotte Hornets. Took care of business on the first one. This is very important. As Jack Armstrong has said, this week is a must-win all week kind of week to kind of get our record right for the season and also to get some good inertia and positive things going in the second half of the season. Yes, that's right. We have played our 41st game of the season last night, and we are officially at the halfway point of the season. It's right now. So let's see what kind of things can happen in the new second half of the season with people like Precious Achua showing up and reminding us exactly how special and how much he can contribute to our team to winning. And boy, was it fun to see Precious kind of start coming back into that rhythm of who he is, once again, contributing in a couple different ways, whether it's a block here, a really nice attack the rim here, or some threes going in all of a sudden. Good job, Precious. In fact, let me do my 3 stars of the game for the game last night real quick. Siakam is my number 1 star of the game, 28 points, 10 of 16 shooting, 2 3-pointers made, 6 of 9 at the free throw line. 3 offensive rebounds, really underrated for that. 8 rebounds altogether, 7 assists, plus 3, 28 points. I really love what Siakam did last night. He was very much involved in scoring early, getting 12 points in the first quarter, and then also really kind of showing up from time to time, checking in and keep on adding to his total to continuously help the Raptors stay above the Hornets. One thing that I want to talk about Pascal that has not gotten enough credit for is his defense. This man is really just as good a defensive player as OG Scottie Precious. He's on that same caliber. It's just that we don't talk about him on defense enough. And I just wanted to take a moment to note that Pascal Siakam is actually a two-way player and that we all should respect him and love him for his defensive efforts just as much as his offensive efforts. Because in recent games, I've seen him pull off some pretty cool, amazing defensive stops himself. So I just wanted to put some shine on Pascal for an aspect of his game that we don't really pay attention enough to. And that's the stuff he does at defensive end. Second star of the game is OG Anunoby. He got the after game interview. He tied his career record for 3-pointers in a game with 6. And it was really fun to see him do it. And he kind of, once again, he had bookends to it. He hit some threes early to really help things open up. 8 of 12 from the field altogether. That's fantastic shooting, OG. 6 of 7 from 3-point range. I love that so much. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a +2 for 22 points. Now, a couple of those threes came late, and they were really, really crucial. Those coupled with a couple that Fred had were really, really important for getting us this win last night. It was crazy because this game turned out to be something completely different than I thought what it would be. I was really hoping that we would really continue this trend of making the other team turn the ball over a lot. But what happened was Charlotte's very good at taking care of the ball. I was shocked at that. The turnover totals were pretty comparable by the end of the game, and this wasn't an advantage the Raptors utilized like they've been utilizing against teams like Phoenix and Portland recently. That they took care of the ball, and it wasn't a defensive battle. The referees were not calling the whistle very close. They were really, really letting both teams play, and it turned into an offensive battle, a shootout, a score marathon. And I was like, "Ooh, this doesn't favor the Raptors in some ways because we have not been able to manufacture a lot of points because we had no bench in a couple weeks ago." And it really, really anemic scoring. Like we could expect to score around 100 to 110 points, but getting to 120, 130, that's crazy talk with the Raptors, the way we were playing a couple weeks ago. Well, Nick Nurse, you are doing it right now. You are finally doing it right with your rotations, and the minutes distribution is really helping to allow for more growth in your ability to score more points as a team overall. That when you don't play all your starters 45 minutes each, you can actually get some good higher point totals for the score overall. And that's what we did last night. We outscored the Charlotte Hornets in a game that became a scoring race, 132 to 120. Forget about my whole thing about counting a quarter as being successful, whether the other team scores 30 or not. I say the Raptors have to keep a team from scoring 30 for a quarter or averaging 30 per quarter to win. Well, they let them score 30 per quarter. They got 120 last night, but we got more, 132. And it was a big part of just really smart using your rotation, Nick. You're now playing a section of the game in the first half and in the second half that is designated for mostly bench. Now, you're not doing exactly what I had recommended a couple weeks ago, which is to mix and match and have always have at least 2 starters out there, if not 3, and just bring in guys like Boucher and Precious as a tag team with 3 starters. And, you can switch up who the starters and the bench are out there. But no, you're still going kind of wholesale. But it's an interesting lineup you're putting out there. You're putting Gary out there with 4 bench guys. And Gary's kind of like the safety valve for offense. Like if these bench guys like Malachi, Chris, Precious, Koloko, Wancho, if they don't get scoring, then all of a sudden Gary's there just to save the day and be all-purpose scoring in no matter what. And that's pretty smart stuff. I really like it because it harkens to when you were bringing Gary off the bench about a month or so ago and how he was very productive with that unit at that time. So you learned something and now you're using them in this way. But don't you see the huge benefit of having arrested Fred VanVleet, arrested Pascal Siakam, arrested OG Anunoby for the last 5 minutes of the game? Because this was the big difference in like a month ago and to now, is that you can afford to rest these guys. They come in with 6 minutes to go in the game and boom, they're very effective. They're doing things better. They're executing. They're making their shots. They have their legs under them to be able to make the shots because you didn't run them to the ground the whole game. Wow. It's so amazing how things can work out when you can just have a little more trust in your bench and allowing them to do things. Oh my gosh, such a good job. My 3rd star is Precious Achiuwa. I really much like Koloko in the game just before against Portland, there was a little bit of an uptick and an uprise of like, okay, remember me? I'm on this team also, and I can contribute in some major ways to help them. And man, Precious, you are so badass. In fact, in some ways, I find you untouchable as far as I never want to see you leave the Raptors because there's certain things about you that tell me that you're really, really special. And that in the future, I really want to know where you're going to go as far as with your ceiling and what your abilities will be in like 2 or 3 years. And I'd love that to be in a Raptors red uniform. I don't want that to be on another team because I can see the raw talent and power in your game, and I am here for it. I really want to see it all. I don't want him to go anywhere. So those are my 3 stars for last night in the Raptors game. I could have picked Gary. Gary's a very, very suitable candidate for this also. His steady play has continued, but I wanted to pick those 3 guys in particular because I wanted to make note of Precious and what he did. All right, let me check in with the comments, and I hope you guys are enjoying this great win. We're on a win streak, baby. 2, baby. Yeah, I'll take it. This year has been like that. Monique is saying, good morning, everyone. All around great crowd. Indeed. 3 stars of the game go to everyone. Precious is officially back. Wow. I enjoyed myself last night. Of course, I saw Porter coming quickly. All right, yeah, let's talk about that real quick. The report came out yesterday. Otto Porter will miss the remainder of the season after undergoing foot surgery, the team announced on Tuesday. Porter played just 8 games with the Raptors, joined the team in free agency after winning a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Listen, a lot of people are going to say a lot of different stupid things out of pocket right now about this. What a fail, all this kind of stuff. What are you can see into the future? You knew this was going to happen with him? I mean, some people will say, well, we did know he's injury prone and that he does miss a lot of games. But I said this in the preseason. You could go find it in my streams. I said, if he doesn't play all year and he's just around the team, kind of giving a little bit of leadership, a little bit of guidance, doing stuff that we wish Goran had done last year, it'll be worth it. Because in some ways, it's just the pedigree of him being a champion, him being such a great vet and pro is good to have around to rub off on people. I was like, you know what? If he's hurt all season and he's healthy for the playoffs, he's worth it. There's all kinds of ways that he's worth it. Now, this is the thing. They have until January 15th to get, they have a $3 million exception now because of the injury to sign towards somebody else. But I've heard that they don't actually get an extra spot in the roster. So it's kind of worthless in a way. I mean, it does free up some money, but they cannot actually get another person to come in because technically Otto's still on our roster. It is what it is. So I don't expect a new player because of Otto's news, but there's some money they can use, I guess, towards somebody or somewhere and something, but no roster spot. That's what I heard, unfortunately. Cool Cats here. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. We are trending in the right direction, looking more like ourselves each game. Connection rhythm getting better. First time in ages we have a full team except for Otto Porter. That's right. Well, now that Otto's for sure out for the season, we know this is our full squad right now, and it doesn't look bad. In fact, this connectivity that Cool Cat's talking about is a huge key to what's going on right now. We had 20 assists at halftime last night, and we got well over my target of 25 assists per game that I want to see from the Raptors. The assists really do signify the connectivity between the players and making easier shots for each other, which is what is the trend in the last two games in the wins, is that these guys are playing off each other. They're actually utilizing each other to find the better open shots. And some of this passing and finding each other is beautiful. You know, we're seeing Fred throw no looks. We're seeing Scottie throw cross court passes that are just pinpointed and beautiful. And we're seeing very crisp catching and shooting and making it with guys like OG and stuff. Like, how reliable was OG catching the ball and shooting threes last night? It was amazing, 6 for 7. And I love that so much. These are the things that, oh my gosh, this is the beautiful game. When you see the players playing with each other and just making beautiful things happen. That is what I want to see more of, Raptors. The more you play together, the more the bench can be depended on, the more we will win. And that is the secret to our success. It really is those two things, connectivity and trust. Trust your players, Nick Nurse, and let them play. Jimmy Pope is here. Good morning, Jimmy Pope. One of the real ones who believed, was so positive this weekend. And, well, boy, Jimmy Pope is bringing that inertia of good feelings through this week. The team is winning. I love it. 2 down, on to the third. Let's go. Woo! Ric Flair, baby. Woo! Basketball Rewind. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Basketball Rewind. Can't wait to hear some of what you have to say about the game yesterday. Monique is saying episode 3 of Hustle Play is officially live. See what happens. We can win. Third straight coming tomorrow. I can't make it, Lex. Raptors Tonight live stream is so lively now. Oh, my gosh. Let's go, boys. We can definitely. All right, Monique went to the game yesterday, but yes, I'm going to the game tomorrow. Second stint duty to take care of this second game against Charlotte. No letdown. I'm going to come down there and bring it. Unfortunately, Nako can't come with me, but I will be going there with Adriana at least. So if anybody wants to meet us to go to the game with us, 5 o'clock at the Columns in Jurassic Park, I will be standing out there, and I will be, anybody who wants to come in with us, we'll get tickets together, hopefully, and we'll watch the game together in the game. So y'all come down there if you want to try and go to game with me. I will be outside the building tomorrow for Thursday's game. So, all right. Yeah, I love it, Monique. And Chris Boucher is his birthday today. Happy 30th birthday to Chris Boucher. It's his birthday today. And it's also Peter Saborin's birthday. Happy birthday to Peter Saborin. I saw it was your birthday on Facebook. Oh, you're going to sneak it past me. And I remember you saying that your birthday was the same day as Chris Boucher's. Well, this is awesome. Now we have a Hustle Play episode from Chris Boucher to enjoy on his birthday. In fact, Chris is having a great week. I loved seeing him on Twitch on Saturday playing Call of Duty very silently and just running around having fun with his friends. Well, he's bringing those good vibes to the team. I've seen pictures of him. They do the outfit check when they come in and they're coming in down the hall. He had a big smile in his picture on Saturday before the Portland game. And then, they interviewed Precious after the game last night, and they're talking to him about him playing so well. And he said that he came in the locker room the other day, and Chris had a picture on his phone he wanted to show him. And it was a picture of DX, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. And he said, bro, we got to get this going again. And Precious started laughing. And that's what's going on here. It's like people are calling them Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Precious thinks it's a little silly sometimes. It's like, but you know what? They're going into it. That why not lean into it? Y'all tag team off the bench. Y'all are badasses. And you really are getting used as a tandem. Nick Nurse said in his interview after the game that he does like playing y'all together. And then in some ways, we kind of see like different tag teams off the bench. Right now, it seems like it's very much a Wancho Coloco combination, and then you got the Precious and Chris combination. And it does seem like they really do play well when they're on the court together. It's something like that they've worked out some defensive stuff already between the two of them so that they can be a very effective front court defense, Chris Boucher and Precious Achua, because the communication is very strong and obviously the connection's strong too. So I think this is really smart that Nick is utilizing these natural tag teams on the team. We just got to figure out who's the wrestling equivalent of Wancho and Coloco's tag team now. We got DX. Who is that? Can they be the Hardy Boys or something? I don't know. I don't think they're the Hardy Boys. They're too tall. But yeah, this is cool. And I love the whole motif of Shawn Michaels and Triple H bleeding into this all the time. And it's just becoming more and more a thing. You know, you started part of this, Precious, by having your little Christmas special where you saw the picture of young Chris and you said, it's Shawn Michaels. It's Shawn Michaels. Yeah, that encouraged it. And you should expect to be called the Generation X for the time being, at least, until the fans forget. Yeah, so good. Logical Raptors Fanatics here. Go check out Logical Raptors Fanatics channel. And also, I guess, check out Basketball Rewinds channel. Lots of good basketball content out there on YouTube. Check them out, baby. Let's see what Mike's saying today. You doing the live stream during the game again. I saw that last night. Mike. Yeah, very cool. Salute Real Ones, Project Truth Always, Van Rewind, sub to your channel. Your first video looks like it's doing well at the moment. Definitely going to check that. And I hope I don't scare any with my face reveal. No, that was cool. It was weird. It's like you can see Mike on his live stream last night during the game. It's all good. I love y'all. You know, as long as y'all are positive, good content creators, I'm with you. There's somebody who has found me and posted me on Twitter today, and I appreciate you, Fred Propaganda. I like the propaganda channels on Twitter because they are the kind of people that are standing for our players and standing up for them and saying good stuff. And this guy, he put me on blast because of my criticism of he who shall not be named. And it's funny because he's in the comments trying to defend himself and saying stuff that's like, hate is such a strong thing. Yeah, hate is a strong thing. But I do hate you, Robert, because you are a bad force in the Raptors world. And I love the Raptors so much that I have to hate you. And that's just the way it is. And maybe it is a strong word, but I'm willing to stand on this side of it because you attacked Fred VanVleet's family. But yeah, they put me on blast on Twitter right now for a little bit of a mini feud with He Shall Not Be Named. So I thank you for the attention. And yes, if you are a real positive Raptors fan that wants the best for this team, that means on the path to more Larry O'Briens, you are watching the right YouTube channel. Because that is all we're about. I don't give a shit about clicks. I'm not going to be here trying to antagonize people, family of the players. I'm not going to be trying to talk down one player just to talk up the other. I believe in all those guys, and I love them all, and I want to talk about it in a way that they're going to win and win a lot. That's right. I'm just an extension of Masai Ujiri's brain and a mouthpiece for it. We want to win and win a lot, and that is what we're doing here. Yeah, yeah. Monique is saying 905. Let's see, what is she saying? Oh, it jumped. Hang on. 905. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I get all y'all's comments. You know I will. I always do. 905 won't make it if they keep playing that awful. I say Raptors have the better chance, obviously. Go 905, though. Keep fighting regardless. Always proud either way. Okay, Monique, thanks for the cue card. 905 playing yesterday and losing. We did not win both our games yesterday. Capital City Go-Go is a very good G League team. They are stacked with big men. And that really was what Eric Curry blamed about the game yesterday is that they just beat us up down low. There's not a whole lot we could do. This guy Carey is really big and really good, Vernon Carey. And then they also have Maker. You know, Thon Maker's brother, Maker. He was out there running around for them. He had 28 points, 13 rebounds in the win. He really was the best player on the court. Maker. 10 of 14. Wow. Just a monster game from him. And just the size of the Capital City Go-Go overwhelmed our 905. But I will give you my 3 stars for the game. Reggie Perry was fantastic. 37 points. That's his career high. 12 of 26 from the field, 8 of 10 from free throw line, 9 rebounds, assist to steal, 2 blocks, a minus 11 though in a losing effort. Reggie Perry 37, second star Delano Banton 24 points, 9 of 20 shooting. 8 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 steal. Delano was out there doing what he can do. And then Ron Harper Jr., the third star, 22 points, 6 of 11 from the field. I really like that. 2 3-pointers, 4-4 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, minus 13. Now, the rest of the guys, I mean, there was a really nice game from David Johnson off the bench, 3 of 5, 7 points, a +8. He was the only really good plus on our team. Ryan Hawkins, no points. Morsel off the bench, 10 points. Gravette, 7 points. And then some of the guys on the starting lineup could have played better, like Gabe Brown, only 7 points. Come on, man. You could do better than that. Kenny Wooten Jr. getting the start, also at center with only 2. But yeah, it's a tough loss by the Raptors 905, and their season isn't getting off to a good start. They're 2-4 now. And Monique's right. The Raptors seem like now they are the more capable, better team of the two that we should be, hopefully the Raptors are going to get it going right now, get above 500 and make more noise because things with the 905 aren't looking so good, but I don't know what it is. I think if we had Coloco down there, they would be dominant. I think they would be the number 1 team in the G League if we had Coloco down there, but we just really, really need the size and Coloco on the main roster. And I don't think he's going to go to 905 at all, ever in his career, unless it's for a rehab assignment coming back from an injury. But I don't think he's ever going to go down there. I mean, he would have gone down there already. And at this point, I don't think there's any point to it in some ways because he is getting so many minutes on the main roster. Basketball Rewinds appreciate. No, you don't scare good stuff. All right, on you guys. Yeah, check out Basketball Rewind and Logical Raptors Fanatic. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even know what you're saying. I'm going to skip that, Mike. Sorry. Nako's here. Based on the highlights, Scottie and Precious both look like they're getting back on track. Yeah, listen. All right. This is something about Scottie's game I want to talk about real quick. At the end of the game, Jack Armstrong said, people will look at Scottie's points for how many he scored last night and say he had a bad game last night, but they're exactly wrong. Scottie had a fantastic game last night. It's just that he didn't score as much. Let me look at his stat line exactly. He was 2 of 5 from the field, 3 of 4 from free throw line, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal. Only 7 points +3 in 31 minutes. Very solid stuff he did, though, in that time. Like the 7 assists, he had some really, really nice assists. And getting on the boards was really important. And then he did have some really important key baskets. Like I really loved that dunk he had on Plumlee. There were a couple of dunks in the game last night. They were absolutely fantastic. Paul B, get them on the clip for this year. The Precious dunk, fantastic. OG dunk, yes. And then Scottie, bam. All 3 of those guys had nasty ones. And I really, really loved it. Do you guys enjoy watching the high octane offense with no fouls called, with really no defense played? Or do you like that grinded out Eastern Conference kind of style of play? Me personally, I don't like the way they played last night compared to like the lower scoring, like defensive battle games. And part of the reason why is because I know when we play that style that we played last night, we have a higher chance of losing. In some ways, we really do need a defensive kind of battle where people are stopping each other and there's not so much high scoring, because more often than not, we're going to go cold shooting and we won't be able to keep up with the other team, especially if it's a Western Conference team that has a really, really good offense. So in some ways, last night should be an anomaly. We don't want to get into scoring races with most teams. Now, with a less talented team like the Charlotte Hornets, sure, we can get away with it. But with most teams in the league, we don't want to do these kind of games. We really do want to lock it down and play really good defensive battle instead of just a scoring marathon. So, yeah, I was a little scared because that is the formula for us to lose, because sometimes we just don't have enough bullets in the gun to make it up to that top score that they're going to try and make it to. But enough good stuff happened in the right way for it to make sure that we won last night. Fantastic stuff. I wasn't mad at the refs. Pat Frere was pretty fair. And I mean, listen, if they're not going to call anything, they're going to swallow the whistle, then they should just consistently do that the whole game. And they really did. There were times when Lamelo hit the ground and no foul was called. Nothing was called. And I was like, good. You're calling it that one way on our side? Yeah, you call it on their side also. Now, that kid, the new ref, Tyler Merkovich, the third ref last night, he was interesting. You could really tell he's a rookie. He was kind of a noob. I don't know if he's that smart, but it was really weird. Before the game, I caught on camera a scene of him approaching Lamelo Ball, and he looked like a little kid approaching like one of his favorite players. He was very starstruck, and I was like, "This isn't good. I don't like seeing shit like this." Tyler Merkovich, the third referee, approaching Lamelo like he wanted his autograph, like, "Oh, it's Lamelo," and I'm like, it makes me wonder how Golden Boy things get reinforced through the referees, because LaMelo's a golden boy, but it's like this guy's a young guy, a young ref, and he's so enamored with LaMelo. Is he partial or impartial as a referee when he's out there? Because it really did seem like he was kind of fawning over him at the beginning of the game. And I was like, this isn't good. So it's like, is he going to get special treatment from Tyler Merkovich? Because he's obviously a mark, fanning out, like being a fan for him. I was like, well, there wasn't anything really too fishy. And I thought that Kevin Cutler also was very good as a ref. He was very chummy with Fred at one point. They kept showing them talking, and that made me feel better about when he ejected Fred from a game earlier this season. That Kevin Cutler was that ref that threw Fred out at halftime almost for the whole second half of a game, and that pissed me off. But they were joking around and smiles and had a very long discussion while Pat Frere was watching cartoons for so long near the end of the game. Yeah, that was kind of annoying and stupid. Like the challenge at the very end, I understand why you did it, Nick, but it's like, what's the point? And once again, it was one of these challenges where, like, okay, you won it, but you didn't get anything for it because what the outcome was, well, the ball was still out on us or something, and they did a jump ball afterwards, and they won the jump ball. So it's like it's stupid. It's like we're winning challenges. That's great. Oh, we won a challenge, but however is happening. You challenge you. However, you win the challenge. Scottie blocked the shot clean. However, Fred fouled him before then. Or you won the challenge. It is a clean block. The Coloco doesn't get the foul or whatever, but however, it's still out on you. So the other team gets the ball. Yeah, that kind of stuff sucks. It's like challenges are weird. They're very weird. Like, because in some ways, these refs can make up whatever bullshit and say, like, because I don't even understand why half the time we're doing jump balls. Like, can't you just say, okay, possession should go to the team that won the challenge? I mean, it's so dumb. Why do you go and set up the jump ball again? I don't know. They need to fix this stuff in some sort of ways, I think. Tom Duke saying, yeah, I'm going to hunt threes. I'm a great shooter, so I'm going to keep shooting them. OG is the man. Yeah, I love how he said that at the end of his interview last night. He's such a gangster in some ways. Like, I don't shoot to miss, that kind of like dialogue from the bubble in that game that he hit that big shot against the Celtics. He said something kind of like that in his interview last night after the game. He's like, I'm a great shooter. Yeah, I'm going to hunt threes. And yeah, what a badass. OG, you're such a badass. And once again, we saw him on the court last night being very expressive with the refs. I think OG's at a new point in his career as a vet where he's very much more vocal and politicking with the referees than ever before. I have not seen him make his case to the refs so much as in the last couple games. You see him being like, and like, he's being very like incredulous with them at times. So he's talking to them. He doesn't like what they're saying. He's like, just watch OG right now with the refs. It's hilarious because normally he wouldn't say anything, or in the past he'd just be quiet. But now he's actually fighting with them to get calls, and I love that, OG. You keep going, and I thought that was hilarious too, Tom. And I'm glad you brought that part up. That whole part with OG, it's just like a 2-minute interview. It's not very long. It's in the dressing room, but he says some badass stuff in there. Like, yeah, like I'm a badass. I'm a great shooter, and I'm just gonna keep shooting because I believe they'll go in. I don't shoot to miss. Man, OG, you're awesome. Evelyn saying, good morning. Yes, I agree 100%, Tom Duke. Yes, Evelyn. Evelyn, great to hear that you saw Adriana and see the pictures of you guys visiting with baby Candace. So cute and stuff like that. Evelyn, if you want to come to the game with us tomorrow, meet us at 5 in Jurassic Park near the columns. You know where the star columns are. Yeah, we're going to be around there, and we'll go in and we'll get some tickets together. If you want to come with Adriana and I are going. I don't know if Nako's not coming with us now at this point. Monique saying, great coaching by Nurse. Obviously, of course, 100%. I'm so happy that Nick is finally relenting on this crazy ride your starters to the ground thing that he was doing for the last couple of years. Nick, you are getting such great results from just a little bit more trust in your starters. And listen, Malachi, he's not shooting that well still. He's kind of but he's doing good enough things in some ways. But I still kind of think you need to switch him out for one of these other guys, especially this Joe guy. I'm telling you, you might want to give him a look sooner than later, especially since he's on a 10-day and he's not going to be around forever. You're going to really need to put him in a game soon. And maybe it'll be tomorrow night. So we can really get a good look at him for how he can help us on our main roster. He is a really good three-point shooter, and I want to see him have success with our team because I know he will. So let's get Joe a tryout. And then once again, I will continue to push against DNPs for Jeff Dowtin Jr. and Khem Birch. You trying to make Jeff as hungry as possible, you go ahead. And as far as Khem is, I don't know what's going on with him. In some ways, I feel like he's like a break in case of emergency guy with the big guys. And if you really, really need him, you will put him out there just to be a big body and do big body stuff. And Thad didn't get to play last night either. There's interesting DMPs. Nick has said recently that he doesn't want to play over 5 guys off the bench. So once he gets 10 guys in the game, we shouldn't expect anybody else to get in unless there's garbage time. So, yeah, it sucks because there's some of the 5 guys that are not playing in those 5 guys that come off the bench, I think should be playing. And Jeff Dowtin and Khem Birch are the 2 that I really feel like it. That's a great person to play too. But I understand when you play him every other game. Why? Because he's not essential every game, but he can be very helpful in a lot of games. Basketball Rewind saying OG played such a refined game yesterday. Great stuff. 6 of 7 from 3. We got back to fundamentally boxing out guys. We were pretty near the end of the game. Ball movement was amazing. Ball was humming. I know, and it was like, wasn't it cool, Van Hoot, how they made the extra passes and how they were kind of really smart about when to take the shot. I've seen sometimes the Raptors will overpass. Like they was like, okay, Scottie, you should have took that one instead of making that extra pass to OG. Well, it seemed like they were hitting the right times. And I really liked how when they were catching it in rhythm, and the catch and shoot was pretty crisp and smooth in a rhythm. Like that's a big part of the connectiveness. Sure, you can pass the ball to somebody, but if you don't have that right kind of rhythm or body rhythm or understand that player's rhythm, you can make it harder for them to make the shot. Maybe you throw it to their ankles or their knees, or maybe you just don't give them the right spin. And it really is important to figure out what helps set them up in the most setup kind of way, like Magic Johnson would do for Byron Scott or James Worthy. You got to know how they like to catch it and the most likely percentage for them to make it. And it seems like there was a lot of that going on yesterday because the thing about the assists off the threes, that was something that Matt and Jack were talking about, how there were so many assists coming from the three-pointers. People were passing it and boom, shooting it. And in some ways, that's way better than like Fred or Pascal dribbling up, kind of dribbling around, and then just trying to shoot over somebody. Boom, pass it around the horn, get it all over the place, and catch it in rhythm. Pass it to them in rhythm. So they're already set up like on a silver platter. So just make it. And we saw a lot of those kind of three-pointers yesterday. And this is the kind of thing that we can expand on and continue. But this one thing I will say, Charlotte is not a super great defensive team. And in some ways, the last 2 games have been really good for tuning us up and getting good fundamental things going on our offense. But when we see a better defense, this is going to be harder. But at least we're getting practice with lesser defenses right now so that maybe our offense can be withstanding and much better against better defenses down the road. We really did need to build some confidence first. So lesser defenses this week, Portland, Charlotte, hopefully Atlanta too, will help us get this going, get our offense kickstarted. And then maybe we'll be able to run it very effectively against better defenses as we see them later in the season. So, yeah, this is a really, really good chemistry, really good connection. And as you said, the ball was humming. And I love that. That's the feeling it has when that connectivity is so good. Jimmy Pope saying, I love what I heard from Precious in his post-game interview. Yeah, he's just a badass, man. He's so matter of fact. There's something about him. I'm telling you that like he's going to be so special. I think that he is like close to being like a Giannis kind of player, but not on that huge level, but at least mimicking a lot of his skill set. I mean, I don't see him being like the end all be all number 1 guy on the team, But in some ways, I see him being able to like do pretty much most of what Giannis can do in some ways. In fact, he may be a better 3-point shooter than Giannis. The confidence he took those threes with was really crazy. I was like, holy crap, Precious just letting it fly. And bam, right through the net. Oh, so good to see Precious hitting those threes last night. 3 of 5 from 3 last night. That's just fantastic. I love that so much. And in fact, at a certain point last night, the guys off the bench, Chris, Precious, and Wancho, had like barely missed any shots, and they were collectively like even afterwards they're 20. They were 12 of 20 as a 3-man unit off the bench. Boucher, Wancho, and Precious. And it was really nice to see Wancho hit that 3 too. And he kind of let the defender come by him, hesitated, and took his time and took the shot and made it from the corner there. That was really good. I love seeing Wancho hit another 3 again, because we do need to have him hit threes for us, for sure. All right, let's keep going with what we're seeing and the stuff here. For Phil Real is here. Good to see you, Phil Real. I believe you're Kahlua, right? I appreciate your offer about the logo design. Any kind of stuff you guys want to put together, I will use. Trust me. Kenrick, thank you once again, Kenrick Chronic Art James, for some Raptor Freak art already. So Phil Real, if you do have something you want to put together, you let me know and just send it to me. I have no problem with it. I will use it. Trust me. Scottie's stat line doesn't tell you how great a game he had. Yes. Yes. And I hope that's what everybody who has any kind of criticism of him or want to come at him today say, oh, you're sophomore slumping. No, 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 no. There's so many intangibles and glue things that he's doing on the game. And in some ways, listen, he had to battle Mason Plumlee last night and some of their bigs, and that was annoying. They were kind of killing us down low. Plumlee was a problem at times where he's getting really easy dunks, 21 points for him on 9 of 10 shooting. And then you had like, PJ Washington was annoying to a degree. And of course, Scary Terry. Wow, what a great player he is. He is a baller. 14 and 19, 5 of 9 from 3, 33 points for Scary Terry Rozier. Really annoying guy. And then a Lamelo. The thing about Lamelo that impressed me last night was how good a 3-point shooter he is. I didn't know that he was such a good 3-point shooter. That was annoying. Seeing him hitting bombing long threes and making them was like, okay, I kind of see why people like him. But once again, all flash, no dash, just a lot of steak, a lot of sizzle, no steak is what I feel like about LaMelo Ball's game. But he is very interesting to watch, and I can see why he's so entertaining. But yeah, Tyler Merkovich, don't be fanboying as a referee before the game. That was funny. That was so funny. All right, let's keep going. G saying yes. Rewind boxing out, and did we see some screens? Scottie was a great glue guy last night. His stats absolutely do not tell the story. Yeah, and educated Raptor fans and basketball fans will know this. They'll know that is true. Uneducated ones will look at it and say he sucks. He sucks this year. He's not as good. What I want my money back. Listen, he is so good and he's going to get so much better. You cannot look at what he's doing offensively and just gauge it. There's so many different things he's having to do that are different in development, whether it's learning how to guard centers better. That is so hard just by itself. Trying to play low post offense, getting more consistent with this 3. There's all kinds of difficult stuff he's doing this year. And honestly, his numbers are not that far off from last year. In fact, some of his numbers have increased. And it's really only his scoring that's the main thing that's gone down. So Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph Phillips, beloved Raptors freaks, most informative gang. What an amazing game last night. We can only hope that our boys have turned the corner and it's back to normal. Great win. I hope so. I mean, if we're on a fact-finding mission to find out how to get out of it, we found more facts on how to get out of it. And if we keep going in that direction, I think we'll be all right. I think it really is true that the key is we do need to have a sound bench and that we need to just make it happen, Nick. You have the ingredients. It's not that the roster is not built right. It's just you have to use it correctly. Because listen, that Precious is very, very good player. He could start on most teams in this league and he's off your bench. Chris Boucher is such a great role player in the things that he does on the court with hustle. And I love him not being afraid to shoot those threes. Like he dares them to let him shoot threes and then he makes them. And he was doing that last night. There was one play he set up himself for a 3 and he nailed it. And I was so proud of Chris. And then, Koloko is such an emerging talent of like really scary for people to try and score on. He really is like a detriment to people's offense that really scares them and puts them a deterrent. They don't like coming near him, and he has a very sound impact in the game. It's not even in the stats. It's an unspoken thing. Like people are like, okay, Kalogo's out there. And there's a lot of good weapons on this bench. So just utilize them and lessen your minutes for the other players, and boom, you have these kind of things happen. Because it's just so important that your starters are rested for the last couple minutes of the game. That there were games that we lost that were so close recently, and that was totally because they were tired compared to the other players on the other team. And bench will solve all of this. Great win, Randolph. I'm with you. And thank you for the blessings, and blessings to the Phillips family and all the other Raptor freaks out there. Fiercely Salsera, good morning. Fam, I truly enjoyed the game yesterday. Noticed the starters had a longer break and realized it's because the bench was producing. Yes, this is 2 games in a row now that, there's a good section of the second quarter and a good part of maybe like the beginning of the fourth and the end of the third, where our bench are mostly out there. And he's staggering it really, really well. Gary's kind of in with those bench guys, but he still manages to get back in for the end of the game. And they figure out how to stagger the rests between him and OG, Fred, and Pascal and Scottie. So that it's like consistent, and he's doing a good job. The big thing is when you bring that bench unit in, is there a drop off in the defensive ability? Is the other team scoring on us and all of a sudden we lose a lead, or they have a big, huge lead? No. More often than not, in the last 2 games, that bench unit's built more of a lead for the Raptors. And that's what the old bench mob used to do for us. It was like the starters would come out and they'd match up against the stars of the other team, and it'd be fairly even. But then our bench unit would be so much more talented than the other team's bench that they would get the increase of the lead and prop us up to a better chance to win. And they would be the ones who actually built a huge lead, the second unit, when they'd come in. And this is a little bit kind of like that. At least hold water and keep the lead, if not build on it. But, hopefully they will build on it. But yeah, really good to trust the bench and see all the great things happening because of it, the byproducts of it. Mike saying screen and guards with handle are the weakness of forwards defending guards, hence them getting off last night. That's an issue still. Precious helps more. Yeah, Precious is such a good active defender in a couple different places, whether it's on the perimeter or the stuff he can do down low. It's just so good for our switchability. And it just adds another one of these guys like OG and Scottie. They can switch around and get anybody. That was such a huge thing about him missing, is just that extra defender that can switch so well. And that's something like I like. The unpopular Raptor. All right, let's see. Welcome every morning, 9:30 a.m. We're talking Raptors here live on YouTube. I think Nurse felt comfortable playing the bench because Hornets are last in the East, missing Oubre, Hayward, and Bridges. It's a W, but it was a low-hanging fruit. Sure. I mean, I'm not going to overcharacterize this win as something that's huge and monumental, but it is a win. And as all the players have been saying recently, getting wins in this league is hard no matter what. And maybe in our weakened state and where we've been recently with problems with our confidence and losing a lot, we need these low-hanging fruit, as you said, just to get us up out of the mud. And, well, maybe these easy wins against easier teams, I won't say this was easy, but it was an easier team, will help us get ready and ramp us up, much like Precious ramping up his conditioning to play better, ramp us up for the bigger teams and beating them also. So you got to start somewhere. And in some ways, we've needed this easier part of our schedule to get it out of the mud, as Scottie would put it. Because in the beginning of the schedule, they know statistically, they showed us we've had the hardest schedule this year. And now it's all smooth sailing in a lot of ways, that our schedule is so much easier at this point, that they really did front load us with the premium top teams in the first half of the season. And now things should get easier for us. So we've gone through the fire and stuff. Now, I like some of the things you're saying, unpopular Raptor, but be careful. We're very positive here. And yeah, we will suss out any negative ninnies or people that are kind of like, half complimenting the team, but also kind of like coming at them too. So tread lightly, I'll say. Callie's saying, we needed that game. It was fun to watch. Boucher and Precious were awesome. Yeah, I love that tag team. I love that combo. I love the energy. I think Chris is being such a good pro right now. Like I could see in the beginning of the game, in the anthem, when they showed Chris, he was so intense during the national anthem for Canada. He was so zoned in and so serious. Like this dude is like seriously taking things very seriously right now. And now he's a 30-year-old. You're no longer in your 20s. Happy birthday, Chris Boucher. You've got to act like a 30-year-old now because you are 30 today. Monique saying, my Pascal in full of MVP Pascal in full effect. Yet again, go vote. Daily reminder. That's right. Monique has given us our daily reminders to vote for the All-Star game. Vote for your Raptors to get them into the All-Star game. Pascal is looking pretty good to make that All-Star team. And if the Raptors can get back in the play-in at least, have maybe a 500 record or a little bit better, maybe we can get for sure have him on that All-Star team for sure. I think that the coaches, when they pick the bench, they really are going to have to be like, yeah, we can't leave this guy off. 52 in Madison Square Garden. He's just been so powerful and so tough to play. We know because we've had to get schemes together against him. And half the time, that is why guys get on the All-Star team, is because the coaches are just like, damn, no, this guy, he sucks, because we hate having to play against him and try and figure out how we're going to stop him. So I think he'll get on just because the coaches have that much respect for him, even if our record is a little shitty. And it was kind of also, that was an interesting thing I should have talked about yesterday in the preview. The whole way that Lamelo got the All-Star spot last year in, replacement, or like Jared Allen, the other one, is a slap in the face to Pascal. So in some ways, Pascal needed to come out there and beat Lamelo's ass because he had his All-Star spot last year. So there you go. There's a good way, a locker room fodder Jordan thing to get pissed off about and just go crazy on them. So there you go, Pascal. There's your motivation for tomorrow. They gave your all-star spot to LaMelo last year. Ooh. All right, let's see. Jimmy's saying, I love the way Gary's being utilized. Yes, Gary's actually got the green light. Some ways teams might not put so much on a guy who may be leaving anytime soon on their shoulders. And we really are still really leaning heavy on him. And I hope that doesn't bite us in the ass if we do move him. That, he has been so relied on for offense and just certain things that nobody else on our team really gives. So it's tough. I don't know what we're going to do. I kind of like this idea that I had the other day to just like not do anything and just fuck everybody up, because they're all like waiting to see if we'll be the first domino to make a deal. But what if Masai and Bobby are just like assholes and they don't do anything and they really hold up the whole trade market, this trade period? That because if they're the guys who have the first domino, well, what if that first domino never falls? And then everybody's sitting around waiting. We're waiting to see what happens with Kevin Durant last summer. And things didn't happen for like a month. And everybody blamed Kevin last summer for holding things up in the free agency market last summer because of his shenanigans with not wanting to be in Brooklyn. Well, this is a similar thing that we could do this trade period. We could really throw some problems for people, have them make decisions at the last minute because they're waiting. We could act like we want to trade with people, but then we don't. And then it really just like holds everything up. It'd be fun. Let's do this. We don't do anything. Let's not trade anybody, but let's hold the whole thing up. I love it. It's a great idea because we have power. Why not? All right, let's see. Nako's saying, I think I'd like to see Otto on the team next year, even though his play has been limited. It's been good. Yeah, well, you have the option on him for next year, so he could still be around for next year. I don't know either way. It's been fun. In fact, in some ways, I just love that he picked us and he came to our team this offseason. Some people say, well, who cares? He didn't play. Well, it's still kind of cool. And you know what? Whatever. You don't win all of them. And it's like anybody who says this is a fail, you know what? Shut up. It's like, who would have known that this was going to happen with his toe and all this stuff and the way it went? It was a good free agency signing. And, if anything was a gamble, sure. But, whatever. You win some, you lose some. And this isn't the worst way to this isn't, in some ways, if we're going to miss somebody for the rest of the season, he's one that I'm like, okay, well, he never really showed up and added anything to us anyway. So what are we missing? So in some ways, I look at it that way. Van Hoot saying the $3 million combined with Justin Champagne's savings helps if we make a trade. We also have a $5.2 million trade exception. Great stuff. Yeah, I like hearing that we have money to maneuver and do things like that. It's not my expertise, but I'm glad that we do have regulars in here like Basketball Rewind and Mike that really do know the numbers and crunch them and stuff. I love the sounds of all this. You know, we got to make some room to sign some of the guys we have already. I'm all for it. Figure it out. Mike's saying Porter's going to take his player option for next year. I'm okay with that. Pushing hard for playoffs next year as well. It depends on how Masai feels about the money and maybe needing the salary gone. I don't know. Yeah, we're just trusting Masai and Bobby. They know better than all of us. And hopefully they'll make the right decisions and they'll be really good home runs for going forward and what we need to do. And yeah, I don't hate Otto coming back healthy after this toe surgery and playing for us next year. Maybe it'll be a whole really cool thing because he's already been around. He knows our system. He knows things. And maybe he'll be very much ready for next year. That'd be good. Okay, Unpopular Raptor saying, don't think Rap's trying to win anything this year. If they're only looking to grab a late first round pick for Gary by trade deadline, not sure if a late first is even worth it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, still, I really do think we're going to start winning now, and this will change the whole tone of what we do. And a lot of the tanks talk will quiet down. The things that we'll value at that point are getting more playoff experience for our young players, even if we're not a championship contender legitimately. Like, even we could be still. That's one thing will say that's not out of the realm of possibility, but it's not very likely. But even if, and people will be upset, they'll be like, well, we want to get Wemby. Fuck that. You tank people. We don't want to tank unless we're really bad and we're just naturally tanking because we're just not a good enough team like we were recently. But we're going to get better now and we start winning the second half of the season and we can sneak into the playoffs, even if it's the play-in. We can make some noise, get some more experience for the youngsters in playoff situations. That is all very good and fruitful. That in some ways, like I said earlier this week, I want Scottie to be able to say he made the playoffs every single year in his career, much like somebody like Tim Duncan. Somebody that like perennially makes it. And in some ways, that's more important than missing the playoffs just to get a good draft pick. So there's going to be two ways this could go. If they don't take to winning this season and they are starting to be down there, sure, I'll go along with like, all right, the better draft pick we can get, the better. But if they are going to start winning right now, we get a little win streak going this week and we get closer to 500 and we're competitive to make the playoffs and even the play-in, I'm going to be a really big stand for doing that because I want the young experience for Koloko, Scottie, Precious. Those guys need playoff experience. And the more they get, the younger, the better. And that is more invaluable in some ways than missing the playoffs to get a higher draft pick. So, yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. But it really will dictate like how this homestand goes for the rest of it. We got to take care of business tomorrow night. We got to beat Atlanta. And hopefully we can beat like New York and some of these other teams just after again. So we'll have to see. Monique is saying all we do is win, 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 no matter what. Monique's got the music going today. I love it. Forgetful's here. Good to see Forgetful. Gotta love OG. Asked about the general performance of Precious and Chris coming off the bench. He immediately praised the other three second stringers. OG knows team cohesiveness and is key to his success. Yeah, he made sure to mention Juancho, Koloko, and Malachi also in that conversation. That is really good. And you know what? Listen, that is not a bad like backup unit. In some ways, I would switch Malachi out for Jeff or Joe. But in some ways, I love the rest of those guys. Those guys are amazing, and they got all kinds of different skills and talents that they can mesh together and add. Koloko, Precious, and Boucher are a very big team. They were talking about that. That's a very formidable kind of team to try and go and score against down low when you have that mix of the length with Boucher and Koloko, and then you got that strength with Precious and added in his activity. Yeah. That's real tough to come down and score on, which is really good. I like it. Kenrick's here. Good morning, Kenrick, Chronic Art, James. If y'all have any art you want commissioned, find Kenrick on Facebook. Kenrick, Chronic Art, James. He can do commissioned art pieces for you as a great artist. Check his stuff out. Tom Duke saying Toronto has until January 15th to apply for a disabled player exception for Otto Porter Jr. The exception would be worth $3 million, 50% of this current salary. That's per Bobby Marks. Yes. And happy birthday to Peter Saborin. Cheers to Peter Saborin and Chris Boucher. Tom Duke saying the exception gives the club some additional spending flexibility, functioning almost as a cross between a traded player exception and a mid-level exception. Thanks for the information, Tom Duke, and I appreciate you. Lion Hunter saying was going to email you this, but someone tweeted a video of you going after you know who. You're getting some traction on Twitter. Yes. I woke up this morning and went on Twitter and I saw my own mug on there. And I'm like, whoa, somebody posted me on Twitter. And yeah, I was kind of talking about this earlier. It's Fred Propaganda who did it. And I appreciate you, Fred Propaganda. If you're watching me and you just subscribe, I appreciate you, brother, for coming in and doing that. And yeah, we're fighting the good fight in different fronts. You guys are on Twitter with your propaganda accounts, Pascal Propaganda. I love all those propaganda accounts. They're better than the Stat Muse or the Raptors Muse accounts. They're kind of snarky and making fun of stuff. You guys are fighting the good fight, the propaganda fight, which is what I'm fighting here too. But yeah, I saw that I'm getting a little bit of more notice on there. I have no problem with it. It's cool. It's like, hey, listen, if y'all are sick of people like Robert who are making content that seems to be negative and just kind of tearing down the team and not very productive to help the team, this is the place you should watch, because we're all about building them up, supporting them, and making, even if it's like Fox News and it's a little bit like Spin Network, we're spinning it in the positive for the Raptors no matter what. It could be bad, but I will spin it in the most positive way. Like that whole thing between Thad and Scottie the other night, that was great because that showed those guys really care. They really have a passion. They really, really care. And that's what I took from it. I didn't take that they were mad at each other. They love each other, but they really care about winning. And that, I think that what that was doing was getting Scottie like revved up for the second half. That's what I saw. It wasn't any kind of like weirdness or anything. So thank you, Lion Hunter. And yeah, it's interesting. A little bit of a notice on Twitter today. Cowboys here. Good to see Bradley. Good morning, Lex. What are you saying? Oh, I jumped again. It always does that. I don't know why it does that to live stream chat. Good morning, Lex. Where is it? Cowboy. And Raptor Streaks. Happy birthday to Peter. Yes, happy birthday, Peter. You're getting all your birthdays. And if you watch this later, you will see them. Basketball Rewinds at G. Yes, it was nice getting back in transition. There was a really cool set of plays where Barnes rolled and Pascal popped at the same time off screens, and it led to some really nice sequences. Yeah, that's the one thing I want to see this kind of stuff happen against a top tier defense. That's the hard thing. It's like, are we going to be able to so freely pass around, or other defense is going to mess us up because they're a little bit more skilled and more on it? Because I really do like how much movement there is everywhere. One of the reasons why the Raptors in past years have not passed it around as much is they're trying to limit turnovers by not passing it more. And they realize that people get in the passing lanes and kind of mess that up, get deflections very much like what we do. And that just limiting how many times you pass can limit your turnovers. Well, they're being daring right now, and I'm really appreciating it because they're getting good gold from it. And I really like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. The stuff that they were doing off of each other, Pascal and Scottie, was really smart, and it was garnering such good results. And like you said, the ball was humming and it was going the right places. It was being shared, and you just saw like a really good like connectivity. That's going to be such a big important word night in, night out for the Raptors. How connected are y'all on the court? And are you finding that connection? That is something that's so valuable and integral to us winning right now. Randolph Phillips saying, send you happy birthday, Peter, and joy to the max. That's right. You got a birthday cake from Randolph Phillips. Logical Raptors fanatic, add that trade exception to the pile. We have Dragic exception too for about 4 million. Combining them isn't allowed though, I think. Okay, you guys know that salary cap stuff way better than me. I just react after stuff happens on the ground, and then boom. But I appreciate you, Mike. Keep us abreast on these issues and what is actually possible and what we can do with our moves in the front office. Monique saying U.S. media survey disrespecting OG, not even on the Defensive Player of the Year list. Yeah, there's still that kind of stuff going on. But in some ways, people will argue that, because of our record and things that are happening with us, he won't really get that shine that he probably does deserve. Hopefully he'll make like a defensive all team. Like, I don't think he'll make Defensive Player of the Year. I think that was a long shot all along. But at least give him some shine and get him on. If he's on the first team, that'd be fantastic. But even if he's on all the NBA defensive teams too, that is a nod that he has not gotten yet. And that is a start. And it could be he gets all defensive team, second team this year. And then next year, he's actually even more seriously considered for Defensive Player of the Year. So he's got to start somewhere. But I hope that he gets some sort of recognition this year because he does deserve it. He's leading the league in steals, and he is very much one of the best defenders in the league. They need to recognize. Rick is here. Good to see Rick. Has been a bit. So what do you think? Are we winning it all this year? I don't know what you mean. What do you want to win? But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. I don't know if we'll win this year. Half a season left. I like them to knock off the competition like mobsters. That's right. Rick is our guy we can call if we need somebody taken care of. We need some concrete shoes for somebody, like somebody whose YouTube name shall not be named. Yeah. I don't know, Rick. I want us to win. I want us to win real bad, obviously. But this year may not be our year, but I don't want to lose hope. So you know what? I'm going to double down and say it. Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2023. Why not? It's 2023. Let's say it. Tom Duke's saying 100% Rick. Let's go Raptors. That's right. Don't cross Rick Glazer. I'm telling you right now. If y'all know Rick Glazer, don't cross him. Don't cross him. Dwayne's here. Good. Dwayne Greenridge. Always good to see you, my good friend. Morning, Raptor family. What a win last night. Also, what a wicked poster by Scottie Barnes on Mason Plumlee. Yeah, it seemed like he switched hands in midair. And he brought it over to the right real quick and jammed it on him. It's like he was going to come up with the left, but then he switched. And even OG's dunk was similar to that. They were getting posterizing those guys pretty bad. That OG dunk was nasty because he like cruised right down the middle. And all I thought when he did that was the part of my song from Christmas, dunk it on those hoes. I was like, OG just dunked it on them hoes. Just like in the OG, let's go, man. You could be defensive player of the year, the song from Christmas. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, OG, dunk it on them hoes. Kenrick saying Precious is the key to our bench coming together. I think so. He's definitely an X factor of all kinds of sorts, whether it's for aggression, whether it's for defensive rebounding, whether it's just for like low post defensive X factor. I mean, he blocked a shot at one point that was just fantastic. And that's the thing. He's such a crazy, amazing talent that what he can do at any given moment is astounding. There's some of the stuff that he does is like Zion kind of stuff. Zion has certain things, or Ja Morant. The way that they get up in the air and the way that they just kind of are able to do crazy athletic things, Precious has that. And that's what I love, like, especially when he's attacking the rim, how high he gets up and how aggressive and forceful he is with dunks is so scary to the other team and just so much fun as a Raptor fan to watch. And I love that so much. Precious is really, really keep going, Precious. We just need more of what you're doing from last night. Logical saying we had a trade exception expire earlier this year from the Lowry trade. So trade exceptions help get salary without needing to trade salary away. But we're going to drop salary at the moment, not gain more. Yeah, well, we're going to need to just to pay some of these guys. We're going to have to figure out how to move stuff around and still have a full, nice, good roster and still pay some of these guys, especially if we're keeping Gary. This is going to be a big deal this summer if Gary's staying with the Raptors. Jimmy's saying Scottie has such good vision. We're lucky to have such a special player. Yeah. It's not. He's not a scoring kind of guy. He really is a court vision kind of guy. A Magic or a Jason Kidd. Those guys were never the main scorer on their team. They were facilitators. They were glue guys. They were assist men. They were getting everything, doing all the stuff that needed on the court. Magic needed to play center because Kareem was out. Boom. Jason Kidd was more worried about not shooting, but like more on defense and steals and stuff. Boom. They really take care of what needs to be done in the game. And that's really kind of the kind of player Scottie is. Now, the thing about Scottie is his frame and his body and his genetics and his physicalness are really, really special because you got that added in with what we're talking about, the vision. And that's not a very common combination. There's not many players ever in the history of any time that have the skills and the body that Scottie has. And that is a big part of the reason why he's so special is because in a lot of ways, he's unique in some ways. Like even Magic, he's got a Magic kind of size frame, but in some ways he's stronger than Magic was. Like he's doing things more like forceful and throwing his weight around down in the paint more than Magic used to. Magic could do some of that stuff, but not against the very big centers. He'd do it more against forwards, but Scottie's going against the biggest guys in the league and beating them in the low post. And that's incredible. Like we're talking about defensive player of the year rankings. Brook Lopez is number one in the defensive player of the year rankings. And what did Scottie do to Brook last week? He went right at him and scored over him like he was nothing. So that's what I'm saying. It's very impressive, and I love it. Scottie's so special, and we are very lucky to have him. Happy birthday to Peter. Unpopular Raptors saying Lamelo too nasty though. He's got interesting skills, but once again, I don't like these unfundamental kind of players. I mean, he may do some flashy shit, and it may bite them in the ass at some point. I don't like people that build their game around flash because fundamentals are the best and most important thing to win. Jeff Dowtin Jr. is one of my favorite players right now because he is the epitome of fundamentals. No flashiness, just do the right, correct thing and make it happen. And in some ways, LaMelo allows himself to have more of a room for margin of error because he does such flashy shit. Now, he may be successful quite often, but that's going to bite him in the ass at some point. He's going to do some shit like that, and it's going to be a high pressure situation in a very important game, and he's going to lose the game because of shit like that. So trust me, it may be fun for the kids and the highlights, but maybe not good for winning. Let's just put it that way. Calipun is here. Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you, Cala. The NBA officials, fans, and media as a whole won't ever really accept or respect the Raptors. Deep down, they are hostile to Canada. I think it's a case by case basis. Yeah, there may be some real nationalist Americans that very much do have this kind of attitude. There may be people in Canada they're very like hockey oriented that have a very problem with basketball. There's all kinds of different enemies to the Raptors. Sure, I know they exist, but you'd be surprised how many allies we have also in those areas too. There are referees that really do like the Raptors and look out for us. There are people in the NBA head office that do understand the importance of having an international team in the league. And, in some ways, they want us to be strong so that we can compete and not be like one of the worst teams in the league, because that wouldn't be good for business. Trust me. If the Raptors were a bottom dweller year in, year out, that would not be good for the international exposure of the NBA. So there's a lot of different forces at work here. And in some ways, maybe there is a gate that's being kept. It's like, all right, they won one, they snuck passes, and they got one in 2019. We can't ever let that happen again from economic reasons, for like just league-wide reasons and stuff like that. Well, listen, if that gate is really close to almost there, well, Masai and Bobby will figure out a way to get around it and get us another championship no matter what. It may be harder for us to win another championship compared to like the Celtics, but I truly believe we can go against those odds and do it again because we did it once already. It's been proven that it can be done. And maybe in some ways we know better how to do it because of that. And, but I do agree that there are some people that are very, very hostile towards us just because we're the Canadian team. But we do have allies too. I will say that. Raps Love saying, I could not stand the refs handing Miami the win last night. Giving up 40 free throws. Yeah, and they made all of them. They made a record 40 free throw attempts, made all 40 of them. Amazing by the Heat. The NBA, the way they are not letting anybody play defense, and the refs have more control, which is not good. Yeah, I mean, listen, these are topics that we need to suss out and look at all the time. That's a very much an important segment on this show is the ref manipulation part of the show. And last night, I mean, I couldn't really say that there was a lot of ref manipulation. It was really even if there was. The free throws weren't that bad on either way. Let me look at the box score real quick for free throws. The team stats overall, I mean, how many fouls did we get called on us? We had 17 fouls called on us, and they had 19 on them. So that's pretty fair there. We ended up taking 12 more free throws than them, and we shot better at the free throw line. So 11 points plus on the free throw line for the Raptors of the Hornets yesterday. That's a huge part of our margin of victory of the 12 is getting more free throw attempts and making more of them. Getting double the points than them on the free throw line really helped. And we did outshoot them at the 3-point line last night, which was great. We shot better than them and made more. So we really did outplay them in a lot of ways last night. It was really good. We out-rebounded them. I love the 32 assists. That's fantastic. And once again, the turnovers were even. We had 11 and they had 10. And normally in these games recently, we've been winning off of causing a lot of turnovers, but not last night. We got in a shootout and we won it. We won a shootout for once. It's so crazy that we did that. But as per usual, I'm always going to watch the refs real closely, and we will talk very critically of them. on a very personal level, because we are very much paying attention to each individual referee on this channel. We can get to know them here. So we have a profile on all of them. And if you watch the channel regularly, you will see that we talk about Pat Frere, Kevin Cutler, Tyler Merkovich in a deeper detail than most content places. We're not afraid to put them on under the microscope. And that's really is a big part of what I like to do here, is to educate fans on how the referees can manipulate the game in the different ways they do. Now, the one way that kind of does mess things up is watching the screens for too long. You take 5 minutes and you go over there and you watch the challenge play for like 5 minutes. Everybody's standing around. It can really hurt momentum. It can really hurt like a team's being up. Like they sometimes will do that. That could be a ref manipulation where they stop the game to go review something, and it really kills a team's momentum of a run that they were just starting to build. So these are the kind of things we're looking at and trying to see how do they influence the game in a very nefarious way. And maybe we'll call it out. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, I want to mention Pascal's leadership on the floor. Talking more on the floor. I laughed when he said, Scottie, get that shit. Keep Scottie engaged, big brother role. They get on so well. Yeah, the leadership on the floor has evolved. You know, before we had Lowry and DeRozan. Now we had Fred VanVleet, who was being a leader all along, but now Pascal and Chris have been stepping up. OG, they're stepping up into more mature leadership roles in this last year. And I really love it. Like Pascal's leadership on this team has super evolved. He's being way more vocal. He's throwing his weight around more as the guy, the man on the team. And these are the kind of leadership things he needs to do, is to show like, look, he can be the badass and say, Christian, get out of there. I want to do my interview first. You're a rookie. You have to go after me. But he has to walk the walk and talk the talk, and also show the attitude and the characteristic traits of a good leader, as far as giving, sharing, understanding, nice, positive, always keeping his head up, hardworking, doing his routine every single day. That's the kind of leadership that people like Kyle and Kawhi showed him. Kawhi, in the 1 year he was here, really showed a leadership in a way of his routine and the way he carried himself as a professional and how much work he put in and all the preparation and stuff. And that was really a big part of what he taught OG and Pascal, is how to be a preparation pro. But Pascal shows all that stuff by saying, okay, look, I worked this hard in the offseason. You see what I do at Rico Hines. You see what I've done training under him. You see what I do like in my regular every day. You guys see I'm always here early. That leadership is so invaluable, and it really does rub off on young players like Scottie. That Precious and Scottie, Koloko, those guys see what Siakam does, and it trains them to see what it takes to get to the levels and levels that he does. So the leadership is all kinds of different places, but definitely being more vocal on the floor and getting Scottie to keep tuned into the game. That's a really smart one. I love that, Siakam. Please keep on Scottie and keep him tuned in and not getting bored, as they put it before. Monique saying, so last night I made a sports bet with an usher and to win by 15. You were so close. You were so close. It was 12. So you made a bet with the usher that we'd win by 15. He didn't make you pay up, did he, Monique? Because that was pretty damn close. I mean, honestly, if one of those Fred 3-pointers had just gone in, one of the other ones that you didn't make, you would have won. Basketball Rewind saying, Khem has bad knees. That is a key. Yeah, I'm really starting to think that like part of the reason why he's not playing is that he really wants to save him for when he absolutely needs him. And he knows if he plays them too regularly, maybe his knees will start aching or having problems again. Man, I hate this, because I really do see the value in playing Khem and the difference he has for our low post defense and sealing things out. And I wish we could just use him every game. But I guess maybe there is something that we just don't know about him. And that's part of the reason why the DMPs are stacking up these days. Randolph saying, Alex, the challenges should be decided on what the challenge is about and not what happened before or after. The NBA needs to fix that. Yeah, it's almost like they can take the piece that they're looking at to review for the challenge, and they, oh, wait, there's something else that we didn't even see that we're going to call instead. This foul on Fred, instead of just giving a clean block to Scottie. However, is what Ben Taylor said the other day. The challenge is successful. However, say no, however, no, and then, no, and then, please, no, and then. You know that movie I'm talking about. No, and then Randolph Phillips. Yeah, I agree, man. That like that's something that they were saying in the broadcast too. That the challenge doesn't mean anything if the other team just gets the ball. You won it, so what? You didn't get any benefit from it. So I don't know. They'll probably figure this out. A lot of this stuff is work in progress and it's kind of experimental. So they'll figure this stuff out over time. Unpopular Raptors saying Thad, no minutes, maybe a little punishment for what was shown on the court during the halftime last game. Cool with Thad doing and Scottie barking, but it needs to stay in the locker room. Yeah, I think that was just the unfortunate location of where it all sprouted up. In fact, somebody said that it didn't actually start with Thad, that it was actually Gary and Scottie that were arguing and having an issue at that halftime shoot around, and Thad intervened as far as like trying to stop things, and he was kind of putting it out. Now, Thad did not get to play last night. It had nothing to do with that incident that happened. This is just the common pattern right now that's like an every other game kind of guy who gets to play. And it may be just like how he feels that night. That Nick's like, oh, I'll play him this night. He was like, but I wouldn't read that far into it to say that was getting punished for something that happened at halftime the game before. Because Nick talked about it at both times. He said it was nothing. They both talked to me and everything's fine. And it's not like Thad is like dumb enough to do something stupid where he gets DMPs because of acting out at this point in his career. He's been around for way too long to make dumb mistakes, like screw up his playing time because he made a problem with a player on the team. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think he just got a DMP just like Jeff Dowtin or Khem did the same way. He just didn't get to play. And like I said, he only wants to play 5 guys off the bench. So once he puts 5 guys in, they're not anybody else going to get in unless there's garbage time. And they want to just let the bench in because it's out of hand and just go ahead and just let these guys get time at the end. But otherwise, he's only going to play 5 of them. And it looks like the 5 he likes right now. I'd like to see Malachi switched out of there, though, and put one of the other guys in there because I don't feel like I have no confidence in Malachi at this point. I mean, sure, he hit that 1-3 at one point last night. But for most part, he is missing so badly. They said he was like 1 for 16 in his last couple games for 3. And I'm sorry, you just need the hot hands. Joe Weiskamp, Jeff Dowtin Jr. Try one of those 2 guys instead, Nick, next time, please. Please, please, please. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas, one of the best OG Raptor freaks from this channel. Great game. Great atmosphere. Got pictures with J. Cole. Kareem, you got a picture with J. Cole? That's awesome, man. You should share that. Maybe you can put it in the comments for the stream if you want to. That's up to you. You may not want to put yourself on blast. You got a picture with Kate Burness, and she's hotter in person. Kareem, you watch out. You probably put your hands all around her or something like that. I don't know. That's cool. Bench Mob is back, and the love of silence on the drive back home. My kids were rooting for Melo. I love this. Kareem Thomas takes his kids to the game, and they're Lamelo fans. They're Charlotte fans. And they were so quiet on the ride back because the Raptors won. I love that, Kareem Thomas. You go. I know these young kids love LaMelo. They're so enthralled with him. And I think that's Tyler Merkovich, too. He was like being a fanboy before the game. He's like, oh, hi, Melo. Hi, can I shake your hand? I caught that on TV. They showed it. Like Tyler Merkovich approaching him, like being like, oh, it's Melo. Like giggling like a little fangirl. Man. I mean, that's fun. That's fun when father knows best. That's what I'm saying right now. That old school TV show. Kareem Thomas knows best. Sorry, youngsters. You can have your unfundamentally sound LaMelo flashiness, but we'll take the W. How about that? Yeah, it was so quiet in that car. I love it. I love it, Kareem. That's awesome. I want to see those pictures, though. Cowboys saying, call someone, Lex. Let's go. All right, you want me to call someone? All right, let me see. All right, guys, I'm going to call Nick. Let me just call him on the day after the game. Hey, Nick, Raptor Street. Yeah. I know I keep calling you, but that's all right. You don't mind, right? I just want to talk for just a sec. It's the fans, man. It's Raptor Freak Nation. We're positive Raptor fans. We love you guys. We want y'all to win. I just wanted to say, listen, once again, man, wow, what a game by Precious. I know. Listen, you got to let him have that green light to shoot threes all the time. I don't care if he misses a bunch of them. He's just so aggressive and confident. He needs to shoot those because he's going to mess people up. It's like every time he makes a 3, it's like extra gravy on top of your mashed potatoes. I know, because it's like, listen, we don't count on him for that. And it's just such a great, nice, pleasant surprise. So you guys are just practicing? Okay, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know you guys were in the film session right now. Oh crap. Sorry. All right. Listen, all right. Well, good luck. You guys win tomorrow. Okay, good. Bye. All right. Ooh, I shouldn't have called them then. Oh, sorry, Bradley. But yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see. G saying unpopular Raptor that has missed other games. I think they kind of load manage that. I think it's really by feel of the game. And also, like, he's not necessary for every single game. It really is. Our bench is for utilized for specifics for each game and the characteristics of the game. And maybe he just didn't feel like he wanted him out there. I mean, in some ways that makes sense. That may be played more against more veteran teams like the Celtics than the Charlotte Hornets because the Hornets are a younger team. They're a little bit less experienced. We can get away with playing our less experienced players. Whereas like Thaddeus may be more valuable and useful in games against more established teams that have very high caliber, high IQ players that we need to match wits with. So in some ways, that may have been part of it. Is the matchup last night was a little bit more like elementary, not elementary, but like not as cerebral. Is more talent and like flashiness, and maybe we didn't need him for that. And he wasn't one of the 5 off the bench he wanted to use. Raps Love saying Jeff Dowtin Jr. will be a star. I hope he doesn't get mad and leave in the offseason. You know, that is one of the things I don't like that when you're in the kind of the in between the 905 and the main roster, you may not get to wholly play on the 905 and you don't get to play at all on the main roster and you get slipped through the cracks. I don't want that to happen to Jeff. You know, him and Joe Weiskamp are in the same situation in some ways. You know, they're not really going down to 905 regularly. Like Jeff was not in 905 last night. He was with the main Raptors, but he could have been at the 905 game last night helping them win instead. So it's like, you don't want to be in that middle ground between where you're not getting minutes on either. You're not getting to play in 905 like Delano is and get like 30 minutes and good production and reps, and you're not playing at all on the main roster. So I don't like this either, Raps Love, and I'm wary of this. And this is part of the reason why I'm pushing very strongly to get Jeff minutes on the Raptors. Tom Duke saying Nurse has tried every lineup possible this year just without convincing himself that it's worthy of bench minutes. Why not throw Joe in? He gets one strike, not like how Precious got time to get going. You know, that's what I'm saying. Just give him a chance. I mean, he's going to have only 10 days. We signed him on Saturday. So that means he's going to be gone a week from now. So we get him for like 10 days. And unless you guys re-sign him to another 10-day contract, we need to see him and get a tryout. And I think that tomorrow night is a really good chance for this. That it's the second game against the same team. And in some ways, it may be smart for him to use a different 5 guys off the bench on Thursday than he did Tuesday. You know, maybe Thad gets in on this game on Thursday, and he's one of the 5 that come off the bench with maybe Joe. And maybe it's Precious, Chris, Koloko, Thad, and Joe Weiskamp instead of like Malachi and Wancho getting in, something like that. I think that would be smart. Give them a look at this against this team. The Charlotte team's a good team to try stuff out and be experimental against because you can get away with it and still try and win the game. Other teams you can't do experimental stuff against, but Charlotte you can, and you've seen them once already. So maybe you got to switch it up, keep it fresh, play different bench guys in the Thursday game. I like that. Let's see. Cool Cat saying Pascal, OG, Scottie, Precious, Koloko, and Flynn are being cheaper. Fred VanVleet, if money works, would be around for our next chip, I would assume. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that Fred, well, we would like Fred to get 2 championships in Toronto. That would be really, really good for all kinds of different reasons. And I really do want to bridge that first championship with a second championship that includes a couple of guys from that first team because we want multiple champions. We want Pascal to have 2 rings. We want Fred to have 2 rings at least. We want, OG to get 2 rings also, Chris too. So, yeah, I like that. Basketball Rewind saying 32 assists on 44 made field goals. Precious is different than Giannis game-wise. I like the appreciation for Precious as he gets his sea legs. He's a unique player with a high ceiling if he can finish. Yeah. That's so many assists for how many field goals. That's amazing. That means that we really were sharing the ball and there wasn't too much isolation, too much just Pascal trying to break things down with spins. In fact, he can score just as much, but in an easier way if we do it the way we're doing it now. And I really do like that. Yeah, you know what? Listen, I don't think that he'll ever be as important like Giannis as far as like a focal point or an MVP caliber candidate in the NBA. But I'm saying that it's kind of like the way he comes downhill down the court and the way he's so dangerous is similar to that. Like we really have to find Giannis when he's coming in transition. And in some ways, people need to do that with Precious, and they may not even totally realize it yet. And that's fun too. These secret weapon, and he gets some of it because people aren't expecting it. He just comes all of a sudden. Calapoon saying, "Ha ha, yes, I love that. Masai and Bobby hold the first domino, paralyze the trade market. No point overreacting to one bad half season. Let these guys grow together." That's right. They think that we're weakened. They think that we're going to be sellers on the trade market. Well, let's fuck it up. Let's be like Kawhi and say, "I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I'm coming back to Toronto or I'm going somewhere else," and wait. And then boom, Danny Green's like, I got to scramble and sign with the Lakers at the last second because Kawhi held me up. This is something that we can use as a strategy, even if we don't do anything. I think it would be brilliant, Masai. Really hard to think about this. And like maybe, let's just hold things up. They may be waiting, wanting to get OG so bad that people will screw up what they're doing just because they're waiting for us for so long. And that never happens. Yes, I love it too, Calipine. Lolita is here. Good to see Lolita. Always love seeing her. Thank you, Mr. Raptors Freak, for your positive energy, knowledge of the game, and fun to watch. Go Raptors. Thank you, Lolita. We love you, Raptor Freak Lolita. You go and have a great Wednesday. It's Wednesday. All right. Basketball Rewind saying Otto will be back. He has a player option. He will be back. Terms of trade, you don't become bad faith negotiator in the league. If you ever need to make moves, take calls, engage market. Time will tell. Well, listen, we can act like, yeah, we're open to hearing offers. And you know what? Let's hear what you have to say there about what you want for OG. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye. It's like, we don't have to do anything. We could continue to just do what we plan to do this season. It's just that people see us in this sort of way. Michael Grange, thank you for writing an article about us being the first domino in the trade market, because it is starting to really look like that. And there is power in this. How can we utilize it even if we don't utilize it? How about that? And it's not like anybody, like people have bad reputations for trading anyway. Nobody wants to trade with us already because they're worried about Masai Ujiri grifting them. It's like everybody's hesitant about trading with us anyway. So it's already like this. Forgetful saying more pearls of wisdom yesterday from Coach Thorpe on Will Liu. In general, he says why trade Siakam, OG, etc., just to get maybe a different version of the same. Yeah. And in some ways, these guys are much more loyal and ensconced and so much more built up together and stuff. That's so true. Like I was thinking about, we trade Siakam. I don't know if we'll get what we have with him already back in intangibles. And it's the same thing with OG. That's the thing. Same thing with Fred in a lot of ways. We'd be looking to make those holes back up. Like it's almost like punching more holes in your pirate ship when you want to fill holes. Well, let's go fill this center hole by punching this hole out where Pascal was holding. And bam, that's a bigger water hole. And there's more water coming in on our ship. So we need to really be careful and step lightly and carefully about the moves we make if we are going to make any kind of trade in the next month or two, in the next month, I should say. So yeah, I'm more with staying pat, and I like that. If that's what Coach Thorpe is saying, like be careful. You may just get like the same thing, and it's not as good because it's not as familiar. So Logical saying, I mentioned limiting their scripting plays. They have point guards in Scary Terry and Lamelo and screeners like Zeller. So I knew they could set up perimeter shots, and we needed to pressure the actions more. Yeah, I like just like how we played them in general. I mean, Terry Rozier is going to get his. He's just that kind of guy. He's going to go get his. And it's true. Jack seems like every time we play them, Terry plays up and gets up for the game against the Raptors. For some reason, it just happens. Really interesting. Shane Waters saying, morning, fellow freaks. Nice to see some consistency. Fred VanVleet put it best in his interview with JJ Redick. Team just needed consistency. Time to start rolling. Bold prediction, 15-3 going into the break. Let's fucking go. Let's go. West Coast Raptor freak Shane Waters coming in with the heat from the BC coast. Yes, sir. I love everything you're saying about this. 15-3. I love that so much. Whether it happens or is realistic, that's another thing. But I love it, and I would love to see it happen. Let's go. Let's go. G saying league alerts on IG shows the Scottie, OG, and Precious dunks. There you go. Give us some shine. Show them our highlights. Don't be afraid to possibly there'll be some more Raptor fans down south by showing some badass dunks by the Toronto Raptors. Just go ahead and put him on. Put him on. Tom Duke thinks it's awesome that Kareem met J. Cole and Kate Burness last night. I think it's awesome too. It's a great story. I love it. Okay, yeah, you want to see? Yeah, they kept calling Nick's segment. Yeah, so good. You guys like that? All right, cool. Monique is saying, in honor of Chris Boucher's birthday, what's your top 3 best plays of his? Well, the first one is him collapsing on the bench. That's just so iconic, and it's just the epitome of who he is. He gives it his all and goes all out, and then he lays on the bench like that. That may not even really be a play, but I like that one. I want to make that one of the plays. And then maybe another one that I really like about him is like, his part in the whole like comeback with Kyle in Dallas and that 30-point like comeback in the second half. That's a moment I really love about him because he was a big part of that with Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Terrence Davis, Kyle Lowry, and bringing the Raptors back from a crazy deficit against the Mavs on a day before Christmas or something, a couple of days before Christmas when that happened. That's a moment I really like. And then I don't know, there's some stuff that he's done in the past. Like, all right, you know what? There's some G League dunks he's had in the past that are just phenomenal. You go look at Chris Boucher's G League highlights from when he was the defensive player and the MVP of the G League, and you will see some of the crazy stuff that he hasn't done on the NBA level that is just absolutely insane. So I'll say those are 3 things I would like to look at if I'm looking at Chris Boucher highlights. That exhaustion, the comeback rally against Dallas, and then G League dunk highlights and stuff he was doing at that level are insane. Seriously, go watch his blocks and all this stuff from the G League are amazing. So good. Cowboys saying, everybody hit that like button. You're the fucking man, Lex. Slow. Laugh out loud. Also, if we can win 2 more games, we're going to turn the league upside down. We are champs. Let's go. You go, Bradley. You go, Bradley. Thank you. And yes, please likes, comment, subscribe, share. I appreciate you, Bradley. I really do. Call Tada. They can help you out with all kinds of stuff around your house. Tada. They're in the phone book. That's Bradley's company that he's working for. Let's see. Daddy Gates is saying Precious rushes way too much, especially if he has the ball on a break. He needs to calm down a bit and think more when he has the ball on the break. I kind of like it in some ways because it's so chaotic and haphazard. In some ways, it like makes people keep guessing. So yeah, in some ways it seems like it's very like uncontrolled, but he has a certain amount of control in the uncontrollableness that you may not realize. It's really weird. His footwork is super sound, and his dribble it seems fast and crazy, but he's very aggressive. And in some ways, he's not turning the ball over as much as somebody who is like very tentative in these kind of ways. He's very, very much having more success than failure with this stuff. So to me, I have no problem with this kind of stuff. I know it looks very dangerous and scary because it looks like he's going to turn the ball over at any time, but I've learned to trust him because so many beautiful things happen when he's in this mode. And it's just kind of like, it's actually kind of like part of the fun of like the suspense of what's going to happen with Precious. It's like, we don't know, like, okay, it could go really bad, but it doesn't usually. And it's usually something really cool and aggressive happens. So I like it. W Stream, thanks, Mike. Yeah, we're right around 90 minutes. Just let me do a real quick recap. I want to make sure I talk about everything that I wanted to today. Good job, Raptors, beating the Hornets last night. You outscored them. You made it a scoring race, and you won 132 to 120. I love that. You won so many different team stat categories last night. That was really impressive. And I'm really, really proud of you guys. You won categories that you have not been beating teams in recently, and that is shooting, that is rebounding, things like that. And really, really good job. The Hornets of note, Terry Rozier, Lamelo Ball. I really think he's the best Ball brother. He's better than Lonzo at this point. Mason Plumlee, really annoying. The big man is still causing problems for us. But yeah, Charlotte, interesting team. Our side, very good game by Siakam, Gary Trent, fantastic stuff. I also really like Fred hitting some threes late. This is what we've been missing, and we love about Fred. He may not play very well most of the game, but if he can hit a couple threes later in the game when it really matters to help us get over the hump, that's all we need. And he had 7 rebounds and 8 assists, so he was playing more like old Fred. And I don't think anybody who hates Fred is going to come after him again today. Needs to be quiet. Once again, him and Scottie didn't have the best offensive games, but they were both very crucial in how we won last night. So I can't get on them. The bench, fantastic. Chris Boucher and Precious as a tag team, fantastic. 12 points and 13 points, respectively. They shot so well from three, those three guys. 5 of 9 from the 3-point range for Boucher, Hernan Gomez, and Chua. Really, really good stuff. We saw Christian build off of a great performance against Portland. He didn't have a dud. He had another really good game, honestly. 6 points, 6 offensive rebounds, 8 rebounds altogether, a plus 11 in 21 minutes, 3 of 7 from the field. Really like what Coloco's doing. And let me circle back once more and talk about Gary again. Gary was really, really good last night. He was our highest plus minus. I didn't pick him as one of the 3 stars, but he really could have been one of the 3 stars for sure. 24 points, 6 of 14, 4 of 10 from the field, 8 of 8 at the free throw line. That is fantastic. Just all kinds of good stuff. 2 steals from Gary also. So I really like what the Raptors did in the game. 905 lost again last night. Good stuff by Reggie Perry, Delano Banton, and Ron Harper Jr. The NBA power rankings have come out, and we are 23 according to Tim Bontemps and company. I really hate where we are because we are below the Lakers, and we're below the Hawks, and we're below the Trailblazers, who we just beat on Sunday. So we need to change this. We need to make ESPN respect us and move us up from 23. I'd like to be in the top 20, if not in the top 15, in the next 2 weeks of power rankings by ESPN. They're going to need to recognize that we're on the move up, and they're going to have to move us up in the power rankings very soon. I love that. Of course, Otto Porter done for the season. We talked about that earlier. That's unfortunate, but there are a couple things they can do possibly with money. Unfortunately, there will be no extra roster spot. So that doesn't mean an extra player will come in, which is too bad. Now, let's talk about real quick about this crazy ass graphic they put on NBA TNT last night about Canada. They were showing the Canadian-born players. I'm looking at it right now, and they've got Montreal pointed like it's like northern Quebec, like in logging country where there's nobody except for beavers and moose and a couple of lumberjacks. And then the Kitchener is on the edge of the Hudson's Bay. I don't know why Jamal Murray's hometown is right on the edge of the water, looking like it's very close to Timmins, where Shania Twain's from, and my good friend Paul Bellini. And then Toronto is looking not much further south than Timmins. I don't know where the geography lessons are for the people at TNT. Y'all do not understand Canada, obviously. And yeah, this is the reason why Stereotypes and things like South Park push the Canadian ideas about things, because y'all don't know jack shit about us. I don't think y'all know the geography of your own damn country, let alone Canada. But yeah, that's not where Toronto is. That's not where Kitchener is. And that's not where Montreal is. So these players are getting better. You're all going to need to fix your graphics, because that's embarrassing, y'all. Seriously, that I can take like misspellings and funny little spellings, but this is a graphic. You're building it. Get some accuracy, NBA on TNT. Jeez, Louise, horribleness, and crazy how bad. It's kind of funny. And also, let's see. One more thing. Yeah, we talked about that already. That's pretty much all. Y'all have a great Wednesday. Tomorrow, like I said, if y'all want to come to the game with Adriana and I, meet me at 5 p.m. outside the arena at Jurassic Park near the Star Columns. I will be there at 5 o'clock, and we'll get tickets together and we'll watch the game together. So any fans that are able to go to the game tomorrow and want to go to the game with us, you're welcome to link up with us and come with us. Sue came with us last time, and hopefully we'll see some of y'all down there. All right. Let's see what else. Let's see. Tom Duke's got the winning Raptors all in a row, 3 in a row next. That's right. Let's just stack the wins one at a time. We took care of Charlotte. We can beat them again. Let's get the sweep for the first time this season in one of these 2-game series, and let's take care of business against Charlotte. And then we can start talking about Atlanta after that. Going for 10 in a row, Tom. Let's go. I love that, Cowboy. I love it, Tada. I like Shane's 15-3 prediction. Yes. And Mike saying Plumlee, not Zeller. They are like the same player anyways. Yeah, they're I guess in some ways they are kind of the same player, same kind of person. in the game also. All right, y'all. Thanks again. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you found me through my Twitter exposure recently, thank you for coming and joining the most positive, best Raptors space. If you love the team and you want them to win, Larry O'Brien's, you're in the right place. If you want to just have somebody to shit on because your life is miserable and you hate people and you want to hate on Fred VanVleet and just laugh at him and make fun of him, then you go watch those other channels, because we don't do that here. We love and support our players, and we want them to win more championships. That is what we are all about here. So please subscribe if you're all about that also. All right, y'all, let's have a great Wednesday, and I'll see y'all tomorrow 9:30 for the preview for the second game against Charlotte. Let's go Raptors. I'll just say it like